Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on Citizen Live at 1. I'm your host, Anne Kiguta. Well, celebrations following the release of the 2014 KCPE results continue a day after Education Cabinet Secretary Professor Jacob Kaimenyi reiterated the government's directive not to rank schools or candidates. Salim Bilu reports.
The directive not to rank candidates and schools did not dampen the celebratory spirits countrywide soon after the KCPE results were released Monday. Among the top performers was Tracy Achieng from New Light Academy, who scored 441 marks out of 500 marks. A day later and the celebrations are still in top gear. Otieno Russell Omondi, who sat his KCPE exam at Awelo Primary School in Siaya County, was celebrated after he attained 440 marks. In Kiambu County, Ndungu Munene was hailed for being the top student in the county, having garnered 438 marks.
To Mangu High School and later join a good university.
Salim Bilu, Citizen Live at 1.
Well, the Teachers Service Commission now says that it has an offer ready for teachers to be tabled in a meeting with the union on the 3rd of January. TSC has termed calls by the Teachers Union, the Kenya National Union of Teachers, as unjustified and unnecessary, and now wants parents to take their children to school come next week. We'll be having that report shortly with Jackie Maribe. Now, Bumula Member of Parliament Boniface Otsula has asked the national government to launch investigations into the alleged misuse of 52 million shillings meant to fund water projects in the constituency. This as the MP claimed that residents of Bumula have for years suffered from waterborne diseases as a result of consuming dirty water. Bonareri Samaha brings us that story.
According to residents in Netima, one of the worst-hit areas in Bumula, they are forced to scramble for water from a small spring adjacent to a road, a situation that exposes them to risks, with claims of many having been killed by speeding motorbikes.
Ukosefu wa maji katika eneo hili husababisha mizozo kati ya watu, sababu wakati mwingi wamama hupikana hapa kwa sababu ya hiyo maji.
Ilifika wakati nikaenda hospitali, hata nikapimwa, wakaniambia typhoid, kwa maana tulikuwa tunakunywa maji chafu.
Due to the challenge, the national government has joined hands with the area member of parliament Boniface Otsula to drill boreholes that will bring an end to the suffering of the locals. Otsula has further called upon the government to launch investigations into alleged misuse of 52 million shillings meant to fund water projects in the constituency.
Niko na uhakika ya kwamba haya maji itasaidia nyinyi. Nimekuwa na wasiwasi sana sababu watu walipokuwa wakichota maji kwa barabara. Hiyo ni hali ngumu sana, na tena ilikuwa ni hali ile ambayo ingeweza kueneza ugonjwa.
The MP said that 4 extra boreholes will be sunk at Mugwa, Malinda and Talumba at a cost of 6 million shillings and serve well over 20,000 people in the targeted areas, adding that at least 14 more boreholes will have been dug in the worst-hit upper locations in the constituency, namely Kamaiti, Kiboti, Mugwe and Kubuge.
Tayari sisi tuko na maji na pesa mingi serikali imetumia hapa kwa kutengeneza maji. Nataka niombe ya kwamba serikali iingilie kwa hii maneno na iweze kusaidia wakaaji wa Bumula.
Otsula was speaking at Netima Trading Center where he oversaw the construction of a dam. Bonareri Samaha, Citizen Live at 1.
Back to education matters, and West Pokot education stakeholders and leaders have vowed to petition the president to reverse the abolition of the ranking of students and schools in the national exams. Led by West Pokot Governor Simon Kachapin, the leaders protested over the decision by the Ministry of Education to scrap ranking of schools in national exams, saying the move could undermine education standards in the country. While speaking at Kerelwa after launching the construction of a new road in the area, Kachapin said the ministry should involve all education stakeholders in creating new policies before implementation.
Ile amri ya kuweza kutoorodhesha mashule na wanafunzi ambao waliofanya mzuri, kwa mimi siungi mkono, kwa sababu dunia yote lazima kuwe na mashindano. Ndio unaona wana rank taifa zile zimeendelea kwa mambo fulani, taifa ile linafanya mzuri kwa mambo ya ufisadi. Lazima kuwe na ranking ndio watu wafanye mashindano.
Now let's revisit a story we alluded to earlier, and the Teacher Service Commission now says that it has an offer ready for teachers to be tabled in a meeting with the union on January the 3rd. Well, TSC has termed calls by the Teachers Union, the Kenya National Union of Teachers, as unjustified and unnecessary, and now wants parents to take their children to school come next week. Jackie Maribe reports.
The stalemate over teachers' pay that has parents and teachers alike uncertain over whether classes will be on as from next week has seen the teachers' employer, the Teachers Service Commission, now add its voice to the calls for industrial action by NAT. By so doing, TSC says it has prepared a comprehensive document detailing its response and/or offer on the union's demands and is ready to table it for further deliberations during the next consultative meeting scheduled for 3rd January next year at the TSC headquarters. TSC terms the calls for the strike action as uncalled for, preemptive, unjustified and unnecessary, as the avenues for engagement through negotiations have not been exhausted. As such, TSC wants NAT to drop the calls for the strike due January 5th to enable the parties continue with the negotiations in an atmosphere of trust, good faith and devoid of threats and suspicions. But NAT seems keen on ensuring their demands are met by industrial action or otherwise.
We are telling parents, do not waste your time to pay school fees. Keep the school fees, keep your children at home until these fellows come to their senses.
And with no unspecified action to be taken for failure to comply, the TSC has asked teachers to ensure they report to work next week and parents take their children to school, saying learning will go on. Jackie Maribe, Citizen Live at 1.
Well, we move now from education matters to the question of security. We want to cross over live to the Senate, where Kendago Obadia is standing by. A special sitting has been called by the Speaker of the Senate after being petitioned by CORD leaders to discuss the controversial new security laws that were passed in Parliament. We cross over to Kendago now with more.
Well, good afternoon to you, Anne Kiguta. We are coming to you live from Parliament buildings. Remember, Senate is also inside here. Senate is the upper house in the bicameral Parliament. And today we're having a special sitting. This sitting has been occasioned by a petition by the minority side, having gotten about 16 signatures to occasion the Speaker of the Senate, Ekwe, to recall Senate for a special session. And the topic here today will be debating the controversial security Laws Amendment Act. We're calling it Act because it's been signed by the President. CORD is disputing that particular act, and they're saying it was unprocedurally passed in the National Assembly, and it is also unconstitutional. And they are trying to achieve two things here. One, they want the Senate to declare the act unconstitutional and therefore null and void. And they also want it to be included in some other bills which the Senate feels that were passed unconstitutionally and unprocedurally in the National Assembly. Now joining me is the leader of minority in the Senate, Senator Moses Wetangula. He's being flanked by two other senators from the CORD side. Kindly make us understand, Senator Wetangula, what do you want to achieve in today's debate?
Let's begin from where we have come from. We are just from RBC, the Rules and Business Committee, and I'm happy to tell you that our motion has been approved and slated for debate this afternoon, and we are ready for it. What we are looking for is to show and tell the country that this is a bicameral system and that the Constitution is very clear on what processes should be followed in legislating, in particular, laws that affect counties. We're talking about security. Security in this country is a matter that affects each and every county. The theater of security operations is counties. That's why you have a curfew in Lamu, you have challenges in Mombasa, you have challenges in Garissa, in everywhere. And our considered view, and very well considered indeed, is that this bill was processed through the National Assembly in a manner that is inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution, the standing orders of both houses, and that the Senate must have a say on this. We do not want to pre-debate the motion since it's coming at 2:30, just about an hour away. That is all we can say for now.
What is the practicality of nullifying an act that is already operational? Because I understand that the president has already assented it. It is law. How practical is it that the Senate can nullify that law?
No, the Senate cannot annul a law. The Senate can start a process of annulling a law, and this is what we're doing. The purview of annulling a law lies with the High Court, not the Senate.
Your colleagues from the Jubilee side are saying that this debate will be unprocedurally before the House because you have a case in court concerning this particular bill. Is it not going to be sub judice?
They have obviously misread the law. The law is very clear. There are rulings from the entire Commonwealth, from Australia, from England, from our own former Speaker Marende, that clearly distinguish the difference between what is strictly sub judice and what is debatable in the chamber. And we know that we are firm on track. We are not offending any standing orders of the House.
Would you promise Kenyans that this will not degenerate to the chaos that was witnessed in the National Assembly last week?
This is an upper house. This is a house of men and women of high caliber and integrity. And I do not believe that even the usual suspects that we have, 2 or 3 in the Senate, that can easily behave in a manner inconsistent with being senators, I don't think they'll have the opportunity to do so. Senators are very mature people, are very patriotic Kenyans, and I believe they will debate with decorum, with dignity, and deal with facts and the law as they are, other than degenerate into issues that will bring a bad name to the Senate. We are fully aware that the country looks at the Senate as the house of reason. Anything different will be an anticlimax for us.
Thank you so much, Senator Wetangula, for your time. And we wish you all the best in today's debate. Well, that has been the leader of minority in the Senate. He is the man behind this particular move to try to nullify the Security Laws Amendment Act as signed by President Uhuru Kenyatta. I was to be joined by Senator Beatrice Elachi. I understand that she is a bit trying to exchange a few words with Senator Moses Wetangula, but then she should be joining me shortly so that we also get the other side of the story. Remember, Senator Beatrice Elachi is the majority whip in the Senate. She is a very senior person, and she's going to just share with us what their feeling is about this move today to recall Parliament for this particular special session. Senator, if you may just move here, tell us, your colleagues from the coalition have actually petitioned the Speaker to recall the Senate from the races. First of all, what is your take on this looking at the business that is before you this afternoon?
First of all, in terms of recalling, I think it's in order because we used Article 29 of our standing orders. That's okay. But when I look at the petition, there's a lot of issues that we will raise because, one, we don't know whether the application of Senator Orengo in the court is the same thing we are going to debate. So at that time we will raise issues of unconstitutional. But at the same time, I think it's unfortunate that in the National Assembly it was called that really brought in all the drama that ended up that way. But in terms of the law, I think what the National Assembly did was to remove anything that was touching counties. Issues of landlords, issues of picketing, all those were harmonized. And therefore, for our brothers in court again to come and say that the issues are unconstitutional, and when you look at the record from the National Assembly, both members were in the House. It was a full committee that agreed, that harmonized, and you realize that it is within committees that we do a lot of work. So it's in the House, it's just endorsing. So for now, we will want to see now what CORD wants to tell the country. I believe as senators we must be very intellectual. I don't expect drama. I don't expect issues raising of terrorism. I know they are very sensitive, but it's time for Kenya. We wake up and we say terrorism must stop in our country. It has stopped in Ethiopia. It has a wider border for Somalia. It is because we are I mean, the hospitality we have. People have taken advantage, and we are not going to allow And I'm sorry to tell even my Senator Bill Okero, we are not going to allow Mandera to have the chaos they are facing just because of being kind. No. We know even in Mandera today, young people are coming from Somalia. They join our schools in Mandera. They school there. They will finish. They will get to standard 8, Form 1. They will get ID cards. Will you say they are Somalis? Can a Kenyan do that? All right. In any country? No.
Yeah, my question would, my final question to you, because I'm looking at time. I have seen what they are trying to achieve today. Yes. They are trying to make the Senate resolve that the Security Laws Amendment Act is null and void. I do not know whether your side of coalition is going to agree with that.
Well, definitely we will not agree. And we will not agree because of the side of coalition of being government. No, we will not. We will disagree with our members because of the procedure. If you have gone to court, and you remember the Makueni issue we had, and we agreed whenever an issue is in court, and that's why we left Kibwana, we could not debate him. As Senate, that was a precedence we set. So why do we now again come and debate this when we decided already anything that gets into court, we shall not be debating? So that's an issue we'll also want to ask them today.
Thank you so much for your time. We hope you will have fruitful deliberations and will not see what we saw in the National Assembly doing that. Well, that has been the majority whip, Senator Beatrice Elachi, giving the position of the Jubilee side of the coalition, where there will be, of course, trying to oppose this proposal by the code side to nullify the Security Laws Amendment Act. They have faulted. They're talking about sub judice. It is a matter that is in court already, but Senator Wetangula, of course, has said that is not what the law says. So we will just be here to see what the Senate is going to achieve this afternoon and see what kind of debate that will ensue when the House convenes at around 2:30 this afternoon. Back to you, Janet.
It's Anne Kendagor, but thank you. Thank you so much for that report. And it's time for us to take a short break on Citizen Live at 1. We have more news lined up for you after these messages. Don't go away.